Good morning.
Good morning.
This is wonderful. Thank you for being here. We're just very happy to have you. I'm Dorothy Nicholson, and I have the honor of serving as chairman of Eric's Club, which is our casual name for the Eric Hilton Distinguished Alumni Lecturers. I'll tell you a little bit about our group in just a moment. First, I would like to introduce Dr. John Bowen, who is our dean and is with us here today. You probably all know him. And I'd also like to introduce Dr. Clare Sullivan, who is our retired professor and was the initiator of this lecture series. I would also like to thank Greg Rocket, who is a past lecturer, and he's here today with us, as well as Bob Volker, who was our lecturer last spring, and you will be hearing from him again in just a moment. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to tell you a little bit about the Eric Hilton Distinguished Chair Alumni Series. This event is sponsored by the endowed chair, the Eric Hilton Distinguished Chair, and by the members of what we casually call Eric's Club. The members of Eric's Club are listed in the program, which were outside on the table. Our mission as alumni of the college is to further the prominence of our college by excelling in our careers, and we want to exemplify the high standard of the education that we were provided, and to ensure the stature of Hilton College by supporting it both internally and externally. We are here to give you our personal stories, to encourage you and to inspire you, to be the leaders of the future, and to be further examples of the opportunities that are out there in our industry, and to represent the Hilton College as future alumni. Also, a word about the genesis of this lecture series. The series is made possible by the Eric Hilton Distinguished Chair, which was formerly occupied by Dr. Rapole. The chair was endowed from a $21 million grant that was given to the Hilton College by the Hilton Foundation in 1982. Endowments are very important to colleges. They are not only for the funds that they provide, but for the prestige that they offer to the professors and the faculty that occupy the endowed chairs. Hilton College is honored to be the beneficiary of numerous endowments for scholarships, for research, for professorships, and for distinguished chairs, such as the one that is occupied by Dean Bowen, which is the Baron Hilton Endowed Chair, the Conrad N. Hilton Endowed Chair, which is held by Dr. Ron Nykiel, the Clinton L. Rapole Endowed Chair, held by Dr. Boger, and there is also an endowment for our Development Officer, John Schultz, and there are many, many others. Naturally, we hope that in the future, you will be generous contributors to your alma mater, as Eric's Club members have been. But for now, we just want to give you a shining example of what being a Hilton College graduate can be. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Bob Volker, who is our previous distinguished lecturer, and he will introduce our current lecturer for today. Bob?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Oh, let me just, one moment, please. We also have another distinguished lecturer with us, Mr. Bob Cowan, who has joined us, and we're happy to have him with us. He was one of our earliest lecturers, and we're glad to have him.
Just for the record, we started this program today 6 minutes late. 3. Oh, yeah.
We started 5 after 10.
Okay. So, well, apparently last year I set a terrible precedent and I spoke too long. So everybody's reminding me that I only have 3 minutes to do this. And so I really had to shorten this thing today. But I figured, it's all in this program anyhow about Claire, right? You all read it, so you all know what she's about, so there's no sense in having me repeat it to you, correct? So I'm going to move on, and I just want to, this is not the typical introduction on Claire. I mean, I don't even know Claire. So I just want to make sure that you all understand that. So what I did, actually, is I called her friends, people that know her really well. And some of the stuff I can't repeat today, but if you really want to get into it, I can talk to you about some of the real nitty-gritty stuff. But anyhow, so this is definitely not. This woman is very unique. And successful people have very key traits. I mean, they're not like all of us, especially entrepreneurs that go into business right away, just fresh out of school. And, one of her friends, I think Melanie, is she a good friend of yours?
I thought she was.
Yeah. But Melanie says, even when Claire dresses up for Halloween, her costume is meticulous. Matter of fact, when she goes to the beach, she takes her lipstick with her. And her beach outfit is always starched. And I said, what kind of a woman does that? And Melanie said, well, she believes the first impression is a lasting impression. Yeah, but really, at the beach? So anyhow, this is a little bit about the person that's going to be speaking today. But, the thing that really intrigued me more than anything is, all of you are going to be, go through interviews, right? You can all find a job, what company to work for. Well, Claire has a real unique approach. She finds the company she wants to work for, and then she babysits the president's kids. And at 16, that's what she did. So at 17, she ends up working for the president of Four Seasons. Now, that's a pretty unique way to get a job, don't you think? But that's an entrepreneur, always out there, always trying to get the next opportunity and doing it in a way that's not traditional. Matter of fact, I met her like 20 minutes ago. And I was trying to learn a little bit about her, but what does she want to do? She wants to learn more about me. So she's already set a meeting up with me. She wants to figure out a way. I have focus service hotels. She wants to figure out a way to do her meeting planning events in my hotels. Not only book them there, but also service them there. That's a key characteristic of a successful entrepreneur. Always always asking for business and taking every opportunity to do that. But, the thing I got out of talking to her friends and to her previous employers is 4 things. Trust, caring about others, listening well, and going first class or not at all. Yeah, this first class thing was amazing. See, what happened is Claire has a daughter, Joni. And so you were going to have the baby shower, and I think Melanie was going to put it on for you. We sort of took it out of her hands, took total control of it, and had it at your house. And everything from valet parking to flowers to entertainment, it was not your typical shower. But Melanie says that is very typical of Claire, that whatever she does first class or not at all. And the characteristics that I mentioned to you on trust, they were shared with me by her close friends and her previous employer. Claire, it was really nice meeting you today. And I'm sure you'll have a lot of great things to share with us in your presentation. It was an honor to get to know you, and I'm sure it'll be a great meeting after when we talk about business. But ladies and gentlemen, please recognize Clare Sullivan Jackson.
I'm going to go back in time, but first I thought I'd introduce you to what is actually my day job.
name is Clare Jackson, and I'm here to introduce you to a whole new kind of meeting. A meeting that will motivate, market, and move people. A meeting that will make the most of your marketing dollars. And a meeting backed by detail-minded professionals who will keep a watchful eye on your budget. The kind of meeting you'll only find with one company, and that company is Sullivan Group, where meetings mean business. With Sullivan Group, it's not another ordinary meeting. We help our clients create meetings that motivate, market, and move people. Quite simply, meetings that mean business.
Well, thanks for indulging me with that. This is the thing. When I was here at the Hilton College, there was really no emphasis on this business that I've created. Event marketing and meeting management was really not a core, in the core curriculum here. Dr. Bowen's working really hard to change that, and we've got some courses now, and I've spoken at them, and I'm just thrilled to see it. So most people don't really get or understand what it is that I do. And I did start my career in hotels and in a very conventional way, and I'll tell you about that. But I got introduced to this after college, and decided this might be a good viable business, and so I started it about 20 years ago. But I'm going to go back in time now to when I was sitting in your chair here. Everybody hear me all right? Okay. And I think one of the best experiences I can recollect were participating in the Dean's Lecture Series. Do you still have those, John? Okay. I mean, we got to meet some extraordinary people. As a matter of fact, I was meeting with Robert Del Grande yesterday. Does anybody know Robert? He's a very well-known chef in Houston. He owns a very cool spot called RDG, Bar Annie. Anyway, he was one of those distinguished lecturers. And so I just thought it was neat that we now have a kind of a business working relationship. And he used to be one of those guys that I just absolutely admired and adored. And he's just an incredible professional, incredibly talented. And I first met him here at the college. So those relationships that start here while you're going to school here are just really, really important. I'm going to leave you with three key points in my talk today. And the first one is relationships. And that starts right here. So those relationships that you're developing now with each other and with these wonderful professionals that the college bring in and expose you to, you can keep those for a lifetime. And I would highly recommend you do that. And I've got examples of how that's really worked for me. So relationships and the importance of relationship. At the end of the day, doing business and being successful is really about your sphere of influence. Getting a job is about who you know. And so the better relationships you have across industries, wherever they may show up, are really, really important. This will not be the first time in your life you're looking for a job, or even if you're not looking for a job. For me, it's about growing my business and finding more and more large corporate clients to engage us. So anyway, your sphere of influence is very, very important, and it really starts right here with where you're working now and who you're meeting now. The second point I want to leave you with is risk. And and not being afraid to take it. Risk, some opportunities are going to show up. They're going to occur various different times in your college life, in your career. So I would say don't be afraid to take a risk. And they don't have to be stupid risks like I took, which I'll tell you about in a minute, that ended up okay. But really, you know, somebody once said, the greater the risk, the bigger the return. It really is the truth. It really is the truth. And then the third thing, the last and final point I'm going to touch on is really the balance. And this is from a woman's perspective, and I see a lot of ladies in here. But like, what's possible to build an extraordinary business, an extraordinary career, and really have it all? Like the balance between home, work, community. So, which is really the foundation of every day of my life. I have these three aspects, and they're equally important. One is not more important than the other, and it all works, and they feed off of each other. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that as well. So work, home, community, and how to have life balance, basically, and have a career, and be successful, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to give back to your community. So always remembering that there's a higher purpose to what you're doing, why you're here, and how you're expressing that in your home, in your work, and in the community. So Bob touched on this deal about babysitting for my boss. Well, let me just tell you, it just so happened it didn't work out quite that way, Bob. I am strategic, but not that strategic. It turned out in high school, I started working at a very early age in a donut shop. Everybody has that first job, right? Whatever that is. Mine was at Montgomery Donuts on Bethesda Avenue in Bethesda, Maryland. And, you know, this was every Saturday and Sunday. I got there at 6 a.m. and it was. But anyway, so I survived after the 2 weeks. I became a regular supervisor, and I learned how to sit on the toilet so that you can see everything that the guest in the hotel sees. Look under the bed. I learned a lot of great secrets. And that was a phenomenal experience. So then I come back to the Hilton College, and then I discover this opportunity about being a teacher's assistant, which is really great. So I became a TA for a man named Bob Gordon, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, or a year ago, I guess now. Extraordinary man. I kept in touch with him up until the day he died. He had made such a huge impact on me. He taught the worst class I've ever been in my entire life, called contract management. That's worse than accounting. It is so boring. But it's so essential now in my life. I can really get that I spend a lot of time negotiating contracts or going back and forth with people in my business. So it really was, it was a very valuable course. Bob was a great guy. And then my next summer job after that, I'm going to Jamaica now. So my roommate, her father owned ran the Montego Bay, what's the name of it now? Anyway, lovely resort in Montego Bay, Half Moon Club. So I spent the summer there, and that was really an interesting job. I did a lot of wonderful things, and learned how to scuba dive while I was down there. They didn't really have a lot of work for me, so they had this like 30-hour work week schedule. I was the assistant to the food and beverage director, and I did little things like order new uniforms and stuff like that, but I was looking for something to do. I'm down there, I don't have any friends, I don't know anybody, so I started, so what am I going to do with my evenings? So this is where I learned how to bartend. So I worked those big Jamaican guys at the beach bar, and I show up, and so they're teaching me how to make all those blended drinks, and that was fun, so I took advantage of that. I reorganized their wine cellar. They move a lot slower down there, and their job descriptions are like this. So I kept creating opportunities and things to do, and ended up having a wonderful experience. And come on, I mean, how many of you have been to Reggae Sunsplash? That was worth the whole summer in itself, going to Reggae Sunsplash? All right. So anyway, then I come back to school, and let's see, this is now my junior year. What exciting things happened during my junior year? Let me go back to my notes. I was very involved in Gourmet Night. And here's another rejection. That's what happened in my junior year. I really wanted to be the general manager of Gourmet Night, right? Who doesn't want to be the general manager of Gourmet Night? I mean, it's a very prestigious position. So I go after it, and I was head-to-head with a guy named Marvin Jones. Is he active with us? Marvin Jones, remember Marvin? He's running a country club in San Antonio. Well, Marvin got the job, and I didn't get it, and I was so bummed out. I had to go got back home, I called my parents, I didn't get it. I mean, it's very rigorous back in those days to apply and get the gourmet night. I'm sure it still is. So it's a very important marketing event for the college. So there was another rejection. So it's not all rosy, kids. But then, guess what showed up? Okay, something always shows up after a really bad rejection. And this time what showed up, I happened to get in the elevator, and this is now in the summer, I guess. And I don't know why I'm here. I'm here for some reason. And I jump in the elevator, and there's Dr. Lattin, who was the dean at the time. Dr. Lattin, one of the most extraordinary human beings I've ever met. He did a phenomenal job at this school. And I just have such high regard for him. Most of you know Tom Lattin, right? So this is his dad. Anyway, so I get in the elevator, and he says, well, hi, Claire. I said, hello, Dr. Lattin. He says, well, would you like to be a TA, a teaching assistant? Now, they had just brought a new accounting prof in, and I thought he was recruiting me for that job, and I didn't want to have anything to do with that. So, I mean, I was the girl in accounting that forced herself to sit in the front row but had her head on her desk by the end of the, you know, this is not my deal, numbers. Which is funny now because it is my deal now, but back then it wasn't. So, long story short, Dr. Lattin says, well, I said, well, for who? He said, for me. And I said, oh, I didn't even know what that really was or what that looked like. Well, what came with that was the largest Hilton Foundation scholarship the school had at the time. Okay, and that's not too bad for a BC student, okay? Not too bad. So I said, oh, well, can I think about it? Can you believe I did that? I wasn't sure exactly what I was getting into. And so he said, come to my office tomorrow and blah, blah, blah. So mainly, Dean Lattin was chairing a very big convention that year, and so mainly I was, for a professional organization he was in, so mainly I was helping him with all of those logistics and that sort of thing. Is Mary Douglas in the room? Mary and I were working very close. Where's Mary? Mary was Dr. Lattin's assistant at that time. And what was the name of that conference, Mary? That? Oh, was it? Okay, I couldn't remember the name of the industry organization, but remember he was chairing it, and that was a big deal. And then what was the other big important part of my job description, Mary? Do you remember? Taking him to the airport. Picking him up in my 76 silver Ford Mustang with turquoise interior. Woohoo! Okay, you know, my neighbor now, and I now live in a very nice neighborhood, and my neighbor just bought her 16-year-old a Mercedes SUV. And I'm thinking, you know what? I mean, I didn't get my first car till I was a junior in college, and it was $2,000. My grandmother loaned me the money, and it was a 76 silver Ford Mustang with a turquoise interior. But that was okay with Dr. Lattin. He was cool with that, and you know, I only made a couple of wrong turns the whole time, and we were good. But anyway, so that was the other. But that opportunity afforded me some great things. I mean, I got to have lunch with all of the distinguished speakers that came in. I mean, I got to meet some great folks. And as a result of that, I got to meet Gerry and Zerillo. So fast track, Gerry and Zerillo is now the general manager of the Four Seasons downtown, and he's teaching a hotel operations course here. So I take it, of course I ace it, and he says, you know, Claire, we need to get you back now. I've been working in clubs. I've been working at River Oaks Country Club and the Houston Club, and I'm on a full CMAA scholarship as well. So I'm thinking the club business is looking very interesting right now, and Gerry says, you know, we really need to get you back into the Four Seasons fold. And he says, you know, we're opening up a property right after you graduate. Why don't you go up to Boston and do that? Oh, that sounds really great. Opening hotel. I mean, my best friend that I grew up with in the Philippines is going to BC Law School. We can room together. I mean, this is all sounding really, really great. Okay? Dean Bowen has heard this story. Hopefully, I don't think anyone here has. Well, I get the offer letter. Okay? How many of you have already gotten an offer letter or graduating? What month is this? You're not graduating till next spring, right? Most of you? Okay. Anyway, so it's really a fun time when you're going out and interviewing and waiting for those offer letters to come back. Well, I only went for one. I'm going to the Four Seasons in Boston. That's just it. So the offer letter comes back, and does anyone know what is probably the most least desirable job in a hotel that you could be offered a position for?
Executive escort.
Oh, executive housekeeper would have been good. Anything else? Dishwasher? Close. Steward? Very close. Who said room service? Stand up. Yes. Yay! One of the toughest departments in a hotel, in a fine service hotel. Would everybody agree with me? When you have 60 doorknobs staring at you that have to go out at 6 a.m., it's a rodeo. So you can get that. Well, but my job is not to be assistant manager or manager of room service. My offer is to be the room service order taker. Now, I have an ego the size of this room at this point. I am the dean's assistant. I have more scholarship money with my BC grades than you can shake a stick at. I mean, I am having a lot of fun in school. Life is going great. Now I have to tell people I'm going to be the room service order taker. Can anyone appreciate this? Okay, it was a blow. I felt totally rejected. Here's another rejection piece showing up again. So you go up, you go up. So the more you go up, the more you can plan on being brought down, folks. That's just life. That is just life. So you can hang on to the tippy top of that bubble only for so long, and then something's going to show up and just whip you right back into shape. Okay? So I call Wolf Hanks. Enter Wolf again. And I said, now he's now in Hong Kong or some fancy place like that. He's now heading up, I think, Regent at this point. I don't know where he is, but he's not anywhere here. So, but I've kept in touch with him. Back to your relationships. I called Wolf. I said, Wolf, there must be some mistake. I just got offered room service order taker. He said, oh. He said, well, probably no mistake. But then he said, look at the bright side. I said, really, what is that? And he said, this is the story he gave me, and this is, I believe everything he says. That is the toughest department to run in the hotel. You get up there, you work your tail off, you show them what you got, and I promise you, you'll get promoted quickly, you'll move fast, you'll be on to the next thing. Opening hotels, that's the way it works. The team turns a lot in an opening property, apparently. I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, sir, Mr. Hanks, whatever he says, I do. So I schlepp up to Boston with my '76 Ford Mustang with turquoise interior. Bob Gordon, by the way, gave me a set of tires as my graduation gift, which was the most thoughtful gift anybody has ever given me. Okay? I get that car up there, that car never came back. They have when you live in Boston, Massachusetts, anybody from Boston or New England? Okay, there's no parking up there. It doesn't exist, right? So, and they have they have bumper stickers up there that say "Meter maids eat their young." Really, because there is no parking. You don't want to drive a nice car in that city. You just don't. Well, now if you can afford valet, it's a lovely thing. But back in those days, so as room service order taker, guess what time I have to be in there in the morning? 5 a.m. Oh my God. And when you're going out the night before, it's just really hard to do that. It really is. The rest of my friends are all going out the night before, and I have to be there at 5 a.m. Anyway, I did it. Wolf was right. 4 months later, guess what I get promoted to? Who said stewarding earlier? The second most least glamorous job. I am now but I'm a manager. I'm the assistant steward. I'm so excited. Now, for the women in the crowd, the one great thing about being in stewarding is that you get to meet all the hunky chefs. So, I dated the pastry chef, the banquet chef. These were, you're spending a lot of time helping them plate up food and get everything they need for their banquets and everything and all of that. So, I mean, it was actually, I had a great time in that position. Then, I finally, thank you, Lord, I get promoted. There was a great guy named Seamus McManus, who was the general manager, who was, I think, watching out for me. I'm sure he got a call from Wolf. Seamus is left and is running the Dorchester in London, and he was a relationship I did not keep track of. But anyway, so then I get a real job. I'm now the assistant banquet manager. And this is great. Now life is really good. But I'm still AM. I'm still having to schlep in there at 6 o'clock. I don't know why. I keep getting the AM shift, but that's the deal. I had a great time in banquets, and you know, then they wanted to move me someplace else. This is very typical in hotels, I think. They keep moving you, right? And you know, I really like banquets. I was making good money because there you get a commission. So, you know, remember, I like to make money, right? So then they were moving me into the director of, now I was going to be a director. I mean, now I'm really big time. I'm going to be the director of the 2 restaurants. Well, there's no commissions that come with that job. So that was a deal breaker for me. So when you're living in Boston, hand to mouth, in the student ghetto in Brookline, every penny counts. Every penny counts. So I said, you know, the math doesn't work. I mean, I need to be going this way in pay, not staying static or what have you. So I took a risk. I quit. Corporate Clare with 4 Seasons. I quit. I quit. And then I was really high on my decision for about 24 hours, and then I broke out in a rash from head here to here. It was the most irresponsible thing I'd ever done, was quit without another job. And I mean, I was so beat red with nerves and everything else. So of course, I immediately get a cocktail. Everybody has to be a waitress at least once in their life. I mean, you really do. So I quickly got a cocktail waitressing job because I had to pay the bills. Then I call Seamus McManus, who's now running the Dorchester in England. I said, I'm going to use that relationship. Now I'm going to London. So I'm working on getting my passport and everything. In the meantime, back to my relationships at the Hilton College. Who calls me? But the general manager of the Houston Country Club. His name is Bob Southwell, and he used to teach the club management course. And I got chummy with him. Never worked with him. Never worked for him. He calls me, he says, I understand, because Bob Gordon told him, because I'm keeping in touch with all my Hilton College pals. Bob Gordon told me you're not too happy up there in Boston. I said, well, not only that, I just quit 10 days ago. A strange sequence of events. He says, well, why don't you come? I'm going to fly you down here. I want to talk to you about the assistant job here. Okay. Well, he flies me down in March. Now in Boston, I'm like wearing 2 winter coats. It's so cold in Boston in March. So he flies me down back to Houston. My girlfriend picks me up, drops me off at Houston Country Club for the day. I interview with Dave Shagg. Everyone knows Dave. And then I interview with the big guy, Bob Southwell, and he says, now I want to talk to some people that are not on your reference list. You know, give me some people to talk to. Not nice people, Bob, like you got to talk to. But he wanted to talk to people that he thought may not think I was that great. So, that which I thought was an interesting interview tactic. But anyway, long story short, I got hired for the job. I think because my girlfriend then takes me to Sam's on Richmond. Is that bar still there? I mean, on a beautiful, balmy, sunny afternoon, I said, you know, I got to get back to Houston, Texas. So, come back, I work at the Houston Country Club. 2 years later, I started Sullivan Group. So that's kind of my history at the University of Houston, and all of and kind of in and around being in school here. And I started the business because I met a guy who was at the club who does what we do, and you know, it was a private club, so we didn't have a lot of outside business, and he had this big group of German executives staying at what was then the Ritz, I think. And I said, what is it that you do? And he told me, he said, well, I have a destination management company in Houston, and I do the meeting planning and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, really? I said, and by the way, I ran circles around him. Logistically, this is the one advantage of taking those god-awful jobs in room service, stewarding, banquets. All those back-of-the-house things really prepare you to be really strong logistically. I don't know how many front-of-the-house salespeople I've talked to in hotels that do not know. I mean, they can sell it all day long. They would have no idea how to put it together and how to deliver and execute. So the execution piece is really, really important in building your career. So sometimes it's worth it to just bite the bullet and take the less glamorous jobs. This guy comes in. He really walked the talk, but I mean, I ran circles around him. And I thought to myself, if he can do this, I can do this. So I went to different parts of the country, and I started interviewing independent meeting and event planners to see, you know, can I make money at this? What does this industry look like? You know, this kind of thing. Now I think I'm pretty good stuff, because I'm at the Houston Country Club doing, you know, wine tasting dinners for 12 and debutante balls for 2,000 and outdoor 4th of July picnics for 5,000. So having left the Four Seasons hotel where the max capacity was 300 in that ballroom, all of a sudden now I'm exposed to all this different kind of, you know, wide variety of events. So anyway, I thought, no big deal. So anyway, I took the $10,000 that my grandmother gave me, my inheritance, and I started a business. That was a really stupid risk. That's one of those risks that I took, right? But it really wasn't a smart one. I mean, because it was grueling. The first 4 to 5 years, I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. I mean, I went out to dinner with anybody who asked me because I'm looking for free food. I mean, it was really, 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 really tough. Kim Nugent, remember Kim? She saved me one year because she needed an interim food and beverage director. She was running the Lancaster, and it paid $5,000 a month. So for 3 months, I took that job because it sounded so $5,000 a month. And so I took that job, and my mom came down and kept the marketing going and lived with me for 3 months and kept the business things going for me, while I, took this day job. So anyway, and that was a relationship, by the way, I established at the Hilton College while I was here. A person I kept in touch with and reconnected with when I moved back here. So, the going was tough, and $10,000 is not much. But somehow, Dean Bowen was my marketing prof, and when I went to school here, and I didn't understand what the importance of marketing. I really didn't get it back then. As good as you were, it was just kind of a strange concept for me. Well, when you start a business, I mean, you realize how important that piece is and what it entails, and I didn't budget for it. I mean, I had a little itty-bitty business plan, but I didn't have the benefit of an entrepreneurship school like the fabulous one across the street, which is #1 in the country. So it was really, really hard. But things need to be hard sometimes, But I had great relationships, and I worked really hard in the community to spread the word, and I became very active in my professional organization. I became the first certified special event professional in Houston. Nobody even knew what that was. There wasn't even a chapter of ISIS here. Anybody know what ISIS is? International Special Event Society. Okay, we started that chapter here back in '97. One didn't exist. So, we did a lot of things, not just for our company as we grew, but really for the industry, to raise the level of professionalism here in Houston and to get professionals talking and sharing information and really elevating our profession. So all of that took place while I was, running and growing this business. And in the cycle of business, very quickly as I sum up, it wasn't always this way. I mean, we had things like 9/11 that showed up. And at one time, 70% of my business was actually outbound, international. And so then, we went from 15 people to 3, like that. So there definitely have been some setbacks and some uncomfortable times, but that's just that's part of the business cycle, if you will. And we built it back up again, and then we have this little thing happening now called the recession. Well, I've chosen to ignore that, and after 20 years of really working hard in the community and really working to build our brand, we haven't had to lay anybody off. We've had the business to sustain us. A lot of my competitors are now out of the marketplace, so I feel really, really proud about that. Are we having a tough year? Absolutely. But have we been able to maintain a book of business to keep my people employed? Yes, we have. So my husband's an entrepreneur as well, and that's really our outside of our family, our employees are our family. So it's a huge obligation when you employ a lot of, and I only employ 10 people. There are people in this room that employ hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands. So, but it's still it's a huge, huge, huge obligation. At the same time, with entrepreneurship comes an amazing sense of freedom. Sense of control of what your future is. If you want to start a new business, you can. You can innovate. There's nothing really stopping you. So the other piece with entrepreneurship, though, it is kind of lonely at the top. So I've had a lot of coaching. I've put myself in a lot of classes. I continue to work on myself, to work on my leadership, and to I'm sure my time is coming up, Carol. So you never stop. You never stop working on yourself, and you never stop looking at what the new opportunities are and where you might be going personally as a leader. I'm going to close with one last thought, and that's the 3 circles: work, work, family, community. And one of the reasons I've worked so hard in my job and I've built a business that's very profitable is because I want to, A, be able to provide for my family. Okay, my husband does a good job of that, but I do too. So really having a spouse and having a significant other in your life that supports, you know, who you are and where you want to go is really, really important. A lot of couples don't have that conversation till way on down the road, but Steve and I were aligned from the very beginning about growth, about prosperity, about raising a beautiful daughter, who we adopted, by the way, and about our philanthropy and our give back in the community. We really do believe that it is our purpose in life to give back and to share what this city has created for us, which is just an amazing, amazing successes. So, but what's interesting about the community piece, I mean, I sit on 6 boards. I'm chairing several things right now. You know, there are days when you think, how am I going to possibly get all of this done or get through my week? And, you know, miracles happen. And what happens is the more you stretch, the more you increase your capacity, the more you're capable of, the more, you know, the more rainmaking you can do. So this idea of time in a day, don't have enough time, you know, you got to hang that up. Hang that up. Because there's no possibility in those kinds of statements. There's no possibility for you, your family, or your community. So it's what can I take on? What is my higher purpose here? And which is why I attract the people I do in my company. I mean, everybody, my entire team are all leaders in the community. We serve in 33 different organizations in this town. It's not just me. So, I mean, so those are the kinds of people I attract, and that's what it takes to make it at Sullivan Group, is that same commitment. That same commitment. Yes, we have our day jobs. We deliver this, what you saw up here. But at the end of the day, our ultimate purpose is what can we go back out and give to the community? And it feeds off of each other, and really, our community work has made us immensely successful because of the relationship piece, because people know they can trust us, because they know we care. So a lot of those volunteer positions that we and organizations we serve increase our sphere of influence, which then helps us build our business. That's not by design. It's just how it's shown up and how it's working for us. I'm not saying you have to go out and go join 5 boards. I'm just saying I'm supposed to be sharing my story, so that's what's worked for us, and that's what makes my life meaningful. And I think right now it's really been why our business has sustained itself, and you know, we're actually poised for some significant growth next year. So so I would leave you with work, home, community, and you know, I'm never going to be the home mother in my daughter's school. And she knows I'm out 4 nights of the week, but that's okay with her because I'm up at 5 with her every morning, and we do our spelling words and we do everything, and you just figure out how to make life work. Sometimes it takes a village, sometimes it takes an Excel spreadsheet, but it's all possible. All right? It's just up to you. It's up to you to choose what you want in your life and what you want up here and what you think is possible for yourself. And think unreasonably. I would tell you to think way unreasonably. Way unreasonably. And even if you get halfway there, you're going to be in an exceptional place. So with that, I will close, and thank you very much for your attention. Did you have
We have a few minutes for questions, if anybody would like to pose a few questions to Claire.
Dr. Rapole, and I'm happy to stay a little later if you don't want to ask it publicly.
What is the hardest position in the business that you do? You talked about room service in hotels. What is the most difficult position in your business?
The most difficult position in my business, I would say, as the owner, being the one fully accountable. So I have an extraordinary team, but sometimes it doesn't always go right. And so I think the toughest part, and I don't, consider it a bad thing anymore. But one of the toughest things as the owner of the company is that, you know, you do have to be the one that eats humble pie, and or whether you're the general manager of the hotel or what have you. There's nothing worse than being in a situation where you know the service was not delivered exactly where it should have been, and there's no accountability on the other side. That is absolutely inexcusable to me. So it's not the most fun part of my job, but it is something. It does have to happen from time to time. Thank goodness it doesn't happen often. But when you have to go to the CEO of Baker Hughes and tell him you're sorry the embedded video, you know, the most important piece of his program piece of, you know, meeting didn't come on when it was supposed to on cue. That's a tough conversation to have. But the first thing, you know, you got to walk right up there and deal with it directly right away. Now, were there outside issues about, you know, internal email security and codes we didn't have and things like that? Yes. But you know what? People like that don't care about the story. They just want to know who's accountable, who's going to be responsible for it. And so that's my job. The least favorite part of my job. Anyone else? Yes?
You're in college, you weren't very accounting-wise, very number-wise, but a lot of what you deal with now, when you do, I guess how did that transition happen?
Right. Well, which is probably why I was stupid enough to start a business with $10,000, because I, you know, didn't have the right plan in place. My friend Frank Geckel, who is a graduate, we graduated together, and we definitely need. Do you know Frank? Okay. He has no clue how I got here. And that how I got invited here. I mean, he got me through my accounting classes. I mean, he doesn't understand how I've made it either. But I mean, you do. I mean, at the end of the day, when you don't have two nickels to rub together, you start accounting for every little pencil, every pen. You start evaluating every single dollar spent, and it just takes you to another place. You know, I from an educational perspective, I mean, now I watch the numbers weekly. I mean, receivables, payables, cash flow, what's in the money market, what are we doing here, what do we need for payroll. I mean, I have somebody in my company that really manages that, but I'm very related to the numbers now. So I think when you have to be accountable for the numbers, that's where the transformation occurs. And okay.
Anybody else?
Great.
We'll do the. Okay, also to let you know that this afternoon, Claire will be available along with our other Eric's Club members who are here with us in an afternoon session, an informal roundtable discussion. So please feel free to come by and have a chance to visit personally with them. Give me what time? Do we know what time that is?
2 o'clock.
At 2 o'clock. Okay.
Barrett's.
And Barron's.
But Claire's first point was relationship. So if you're interested in the event business or the other businesses that the distinguished lecturers represent, it's a good way to start on that relationship journey.
Absolutely. Anyway, on behalf of Eric's Club, we'd like to present you with this plaque, and thank you very much for being our speaker today.
Thank you.
And now we also have a very special presentation that we do for every one of our members, an initiation. Trust me, and step back and sit down.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
This is your official chair, which each of our Eric's Club members received after their presentation as a Eric Hilton Distinguished Chair Lecturer.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming.
He did. I think he did.
Okay. I believe the class is dismissed.
Thank you all very much.